like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, 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 Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like Elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shame for the championship. Bucking on Tampa, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy, then you probably smell the crooked referees or Roger Goodell. Yeah, fucking like this, and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, 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 Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that. You're
listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
Welcome. You're now rocking with the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys, where we have intense, entertaining, educating, and enlightening sport talk from your favorite sports family. We're going to start the broadcast by giving a little sample of Taysom Hill today. He talked about his award. Congratulations to Taysom Hill for winning the NFC Offensive Player of the Week for his performance against the Sea Chickens of last week to help the Saints break a 3-game losing streak. Here's Mr. Taysom Hill thoughts of that, the Player of the Week, and of course coming into the game. And we'll have more news after that. Here we go.
I kind of alluded to this Sunday after the game. I feel like there's been a lot of conversation, about me, but I feel like anytime you win awards like that, it's a collective group, and man, we rushed the ball for over 200 yards, and it's nothing that you guys aren't familiar with. You don't do that unless the guys up front play really well. So I look at that more as like a collective award, and man, the biggest thing is that we were able to get the win, and we did what we had to do to do that.
Do you think what you did Sunday, I don't know if this is the right terminology or whatever, okay, but does that warrant more snaps or whatever? Or
I don't try not to get too caught up in that. I trust our coaches in what we're doing, and I think some weeks, there's some advantages, more emphasis, and various things like that. And those guys spend so much time breaking the film down, putting together a plan to make sure that, myself and the rest of our skill guys are put in the right opportunity to be successful. So, I think that's really, really where my mind is at right now. And I think the more that I can do there, I think it creates opportunities for other guys in other places. And so, man, this thing is just evolving, and we'll just see where we go.
Taysom, when Pete tells you at halftime, we think we can do this, and we think we can do a little bit more of that to be effective, does that kind of, get the adrenaline flowing a little bit more?
No, I think that's kind of like as I enter a game plan or a game or whatever, I think that's kind of the expectation that these plays are going to get called. And so, generally at halftime we make some adjustments. But as you guys know, that halftime goes so fast. I think most of the time we come out and we say, hey, these are the things that we want to get to. And going into a game, you expect those plays to get called anyways. So I will say, I don't know that it really changes my mindset. I think it helps having a heads up, because you have an expectation of what to plan and prepare for going into the second half.
Hey, Jason. Sorry. No, let's say, was there any thought of dialing back special teams duties then, or
at that time?
In there?
No, I was just kind of in there, man. Look, obviously Deontay went down, and they need some help on kickoff return, and so that was one of those things that wasn't going to go away because we needed some help there. So, again, that's just I'm there, and if Riz needs some help, he kind of grabs me early in the week and says, hey, this is what we're thinking, be ready and available because I might need you in these situations of circumstances. So it's trying to find that balance, and this thing is evolving and it changes, and with Jameis being banged up and stuff, this thing is just, it's a fluid deal.
Taysom Hill, fam, chiming in on his thoughts a coming week in his role potentially against the upcoming matchup against the Cincinnati Bengals that's coming in this thing. So shout out to the fam. Appreciate each and every last one of y'all for joining me in this live stream as we get going. Shout out to the fam. Appreciate each and every one of you guys for being here. Please feel free to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the share button. Remember, sharing is caring on the Coma. Feel free to share the show's link with your on your social media feed with other great Saint Think Tank family members and diehards everywhere across the entire world. Not the world, but the world. Shout out to the fam. All right, fam. Listen, we're gonna go over some news, notes, and items. I'm gonna try not to hold you too long tonight. It's been some stat content. Ring King Boxing Pelican Post Game Report is all going down. Friday we'll have a Tough Tiger Talk preview matchup of LSU for my LSU people out there getting ready for Florida going to the Swamp. We'll cover that on Friday stream, and of course tomorrow we'll have Emmy Award winning Solomon Wilcox, former Cincinnati Bengal, coming in to the Sports Coma to talk about the Cincinnati Bengals going up against the Saints. So shout out to Solomon Wilcox. All right, anyway, let's get it going, fam. We're going to start the broadcast off. This one is called, the Saints add another running back to the mix, and more news. And of course, we talked about this yesterday on the TSC Q&A live broadcast before all of this stuff started popping and shaking. We seen some of the news about the Saints, and really I talked about it on the Monday stream when I told you that the Saints going to add some talent. But in particular, I was looking at them maybe bringing in a defensive lineman or two or whatnot, dealing with the interior defensive line issues that we experienced. But the Saints went running back. They had 4 running backs that they brought in here. The most notable guy, of course, was Jordan Howard. So the Saints added a veteran running back to the practice squad. Okay, it wasn't signed to the active roster, but he was brought over to the practice squad. Shout out to Bob Rose on the scoop right here from the Saints News Network. Y'all know where to go to share Bob's articles. And this is what he was saying. Confirmed by several reports, the Saints have signed running back Jordan Howard to the practice squad. He's 27 years of age and one of several backs brought in by the Saints on a tryout on Monday. Now, he's a 5th round selection in the 2016 draft by the Bears out of Indiana. He rushed for over 4,300 yards, 39 offensive touchdowns through 6 years in his NFL career. He had over 3,300 of those yards with the Bears in his first 3 years, including back-to-back 1,000-yard campaigns in 2016, 2017. And of course, after that, he was traded to Philly in 2019. 1 year after the Eagles, he signed with the Dolphins as a free agent in 2020. He was waived by the Dolphins after 5 games and then went back to Philly, where he played through the 2021 season. Now, of course, he was limited by injuries, and Howard had 958 rushing yards in 19 contests with the Eagles over 3 seasons. He's a power runner, stands about 6 feet tall, 230 pounds. Howard's the most effective on inside runs. Wink, wink, you know who that guy is. And of course, the Saints brought in another power runner that's similar to Latavius running back style of guy, and you have Dwayne Washington there. So hopefully they use this man. He also has 85 catches for 653 in his career, so he can catch the ball out the backfield. So he can run up this, he can run interiorly, and then he also can catch the ball out the backfield. So Saints had tried this brother out before and then ultimately decided to move on from him, but they were forced to kind of move in that direction because Latavius Murray went to Denver. And of course, when the Saints released Tony Jones Jr., he was picked up by Seattle because of what happened to Penny in the last matchup. So the Saints ranked 10th in the NFL in rushing yards after 5 games, 10th in rushing. And Alvin Kamara, Taysom Hill combined for 215 yards on the ground in last Sunday's win over Seattle. Howard joins the New Orleans backfield that only has the dynamic Kamara veteran Mark Ingram and special teams ace Dwayne Washington. The Saints have lost Latavius and Tony Jones in back-to-back weeks. Murray was signed off the practice squad by Denver, while Jones was released and subsequently signed by the Sea Chickens. So shout out to Bob on the scoop. And like we said, this guy was added to the practice squad. So Howard is a north-south runner. He's another guy that averages averages over 4 yards per carry. So how would this look going into the games. Now, obviously, you bringing this brother in because the Saints want to ground and pound. That's what's happening. 48 rush attempts last week against the Sea Chickens. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Now, let's carry it on. Now, we know that the Saints are not going to run Dwayne Washington. That's why Howard's here. They're not going to run Dwayne Washington. So when Mark Ingram, because Kamara's stepping up, and Taysom Hill's doing this thing, but Mark Ingram's still averaging less than 2 yards a carry or 2.5 on the carry, whatever ridiculousness is. If he fails to catch his groove and hit the holes with power, we got Howard coming in there. He will hit the holes with power. So he's a veteran, and the Saints will have to get him acclimated to their style of offense. So we'll see what they do moving into this thing. So it was a positive sign bringing in Jordan Howard. So anyway, let's move on to the first injury report of the week. And this will bring up week 16 against the Cincinnati Bengals. 14 Saints on that vaunted injury list for this week. And everybody was looking at it saying, well, who's going to do this and who's going to do that? Well, 14 Saints. And this damn list continues to just grow. It just seems to grow every week. Well, anyway, Deontay Hardy foot is DNP. We know that still a word out on him. According to the streets, that Deontay Hardy could be, he's dealing with a serious toe injury, a turf toe as I'm hearing it. And this could be one of those ones that knock him out for the rest of the season. We covered on TSC Q&A Live that Rashid Shaheed, as I call him, is the brother that is getting an opportunity. He getting some reps in practice. So they're repping him up and getting him ready for the return role, because could dispel the end of Deontay Hardy as a Saint. You know, he's on that chicken tender that he signed for $2-3 million. And Rashid Shaheed's a guy that has potential. So we'll see if the Saints utilize him in the kick return, punt return game to give it some pizzazz, to give it a little spice, a little kick, so to speak. Jarvis Landry ankle was DNP'd for Wednesday. Not really surprised about that. Michael Thomas was DNP'd as well. We'll see what it looks like on Thursday. Marshawn Lattimore was DNP'd as well. Peyton Turner is DNP'd. Dealing with the chest issue. He was out on the same injury for the previous game. Chris Olave still in that concussion protocol. Kelvin Throckmorton was dealing with a hip. He's DNP'd. Who did practice? Well, you had Ryan Ramczyk. He practiced. Paulson Adebo, who's dealing with a knee now. Remember, now he's dealing with a little knee issue. He played. Most of these guys are banged up. JT Gray has a foot issue. Taysom Hill dealing with a bout of the ribs again. So he was limited. Remember, he went to LP to FP. Now he's back to LP. Limited. Marcus May, rib issue. And of course, Taysom did a lot. So this could be simply a cautionary measure to give him some, to kind of dial him back and rest him to a degree. Not actually sit him down, but lighten his reps up, so to speak. You see what I'm saying? Limit his play. Marcus May is a guy that hadn't seen the field in 2-3 weeks now. So he's limited. Hopefully he goes, he plays, because we can definitely use his ability, his tackling ability, playing along that line of scrimmage, making those tackles. We can definitely use Marcus May anytime, man. We really do need him to get healthy to help out the safeties. And of course, Malcolm Roach is a dude there with ankle issues. He just was activated and he has an ankle problem. He was limited. And of course, the bigger news there is the fact that Jameis Winston, who was shut down for most part, is now LP'd in back and ankle. And people were saying, hey, Q, man, they ramped up Jameis again. He getting a little practice. Isn't Jameis supposed to be chilling? Why is Jameis wrapping up again? I'm like, I don't see it as a big, getting him right now, giving him limited reps. I just don't understand that at all. This type of situation that Jameis is going through right now is not something that's going to heal up in 2 weeks. Ankle and back issues. You might want to chill out with Jameis on that, but instead of kind of saying, listen, we're going to let Jameis chill for a few more weeks, they letting them practice and limited to quantity. So we'll see what it makes. But if I was forced to bet, and I'm not a betting man, I would have to put my chips still on Andy Dalton to carry the Saints offense against the Cincinnati Bengals, which would be only Veritas, right? It would be so cool because guess what? Andy Dalton played for the Cincinnati Bengals 4 years. So it would be really cool for him to beat his former team with the hot quarterback, the first round draft pick quarterback that the Bengals so love. So that will be a really cool story to see Dalton beat the Bengals. All right. So in the dome. So anyway, and this is the Bengals setup here. Lyle Collins, he was shut down, given rest. T. Higgins is a really good receiver for him, dealing with ankle issues. He was shut down. Jonah Williams, the offensive lineman, was DNP'd. And of course, 2 tight ends. Hayden Hurst was one of them. They were both limited, and running back Perrine was limited as well. So none of the really big names, except for Higgins and Lyle Collins. I guess those guys, Hayden Hurst, for the Bengals. But the Saints just dealing with so many injuries right now. And some of these guys we anticipate will eventually get an opportunity to get from DNP to limited. Word on the street is Jarvis Landry will start to ramp up. Michael Thomas is supposed to be looking good to play this week. We don't know about Lattimore right now or Chris Olave. So hopefully we keep our fingers crossed on some of these guys moving forward. And of course, speaking of Jameis Winston, this article from WDSU saying that Jameis is back at practice, that he returned to practice this Wednesday for the first practice, has been a part of the team since they lost to Carolina back in week 3. He missed all practices for the last 2 weeks, as well as the Minnesota and Seattle games. And Winston is, he says that Winston has 4 fractured vertebrae in his back. We know this, and he's dealing with injuries the entire season. The Saints play a highly anticipated game against Joey B and the Bengals on Sunday, where both the Bengals and Saints are 2-3. So we'll have the breakdown tomorrow, the full breakdown on the Cincinnati matchup as well. All right, let's move on. Taysom Hill, the weapon and the man of the hour, until the old pocket knife, as we call him, the Swiss Army knife, gets the NFC Offensive Player of the Week. Taysom Hill is your NFC Offensive Player of the Week performance in Week 5, performance against the Sea Chickens. And after an explosive day that helped power the Saints to a win over the Sea Chickens, Taysom Hill has been named the NFC Offensive Player of the Week for Week 5. Now, Cowboy linebacker Micah Parsons and kicker Cameron Dicker were named Defensive Player of the Week and Special Team Player of the Week. So Taysom doing a good job. He was responsible for 4 touchdowns on that day, rushing for 3 of them and then passing for 1 to Troutman for a 22-yard score. He only had 9 carries on that day, but he torched the Seattle Seahawks defense for $112, and he did it in just 23 snaps. Very efficient. 112-yard rushing performance and 3 touchdowns were career highs for Taysom. Per the NFL research, he became the 3rd player in league history to record a 100-yard rushing game, 3 rushing touchdowns, and have a passing touchdown, joining Ronnie Brown back in 2008 and the great LaDainian Tomlinson in 2005 with Elvin Kamara's 100-yard day on the ground. It was the first time the Saints had 2 100-yard rushers in the same game since the Buffalo game back in 2017, which was a really splendid game. I think they ran for 245 in that game, I want to say. This is the first time Hill takes down the Offensive Player of the Week award, and it's his 2nd career Player of the Week award in overall special teams. Week 14, 2018, and the last tight end to win this award was Jimmy Graham back in Week 10, 2012, and Week 3, 2013. Shout out to John Hendricks dropping some of the scoop on this stuff here right here about Taysom Hill doing a pretty good job of winning that NFC Offensive Player of the Week. Now we turn to this upcoming week. We got the Bengals coming in, and we have to take care of business against this squad. So anyway, let's do a brief recap here, families. We open up the broadcast talking about Saints adding another running back after trying out a group of 3. Of course, Jordan Howard was the guy they picked up. Jordan Wilkes was the guy that they tried out, the young running back Antonio Williams and AJ Rose. Now, most of these guys you don't know that well. That's why the Saints went with the veteran, the guy they're doing. This is the 2nd time that they brought Jordan in here. They finally signed him, and I knew that they would need to bring somebody. So bringing him in here and they signing him to the practice squad. We'll see how the Saints use him. Of course, they got to get him game ready and get him in shape in terms of finding out, getting him accustomed or kind of schooling him to the Saints game plan or what they want him to do. So we'll see if the Saints utilize his rushing ability, because Jordan Howard he can brutalize you in that interior rushing attack. Man, he runs hard. He can catch the ball out the backfield, and he's a young running back. So if Mark Ingram is struggling, Jordan Howard should move from the practice squad to the active roster and stay on the active roster. Now, if the Saints keep 4 guys, let them keep Jordan Howard on the team, because they obviously don't believe in Dwayne Washington enough to keep running them. Then, of course, we covered the Saints injury report for Wednesday the 1st, and they got a lot of guys on this stuff that we covered. We'll see what it looks like on Thursday if some of these guys are limited, but word on the street is Jarvis and Mike Thomas supposed to move up and start playing in this matchup. We'll see what's shaking with Lattimore. Chris Olave is still in concussion protocol, so a lot of questions about who will be ready for the Bengals. And of course, we talked about Jameis Winston back at practice. Really should be a bigger scoop than what it is, but still in all, I don't think Jameis actually will start in the game for the Saints. I think Dandy Dalton is the guy. It'll be against his former team. let Dalton take the reins, mix Taysom in there, and still utilize the rushing attack. Kudos for the Saints offensive minds for going back to the ground and pound, rushing the ball 48 times, putting up 200 yards against our opponents. Let's minimize. I really focused on seeing if the Saints can stop the turnovers. They've turned the ball over several times each of these games. Hopefully the Saints don't turn the ball over against the Cincinnati Bengals. Let's stop turning the ball over. Let's stop turning the ball over. Let's stop turning I got to keep saying that shit over and over again, because that's what we need to focus on. Stop turning the ball over and shooting yourself in the foot. And of course, the explosive plays, we know that the Cincinnati Bengals can attack you quickly. They got a lot of weapons. And of course, the Saints will have to solidify that. They will have to stop giving up the explosive plays, and they will have to stop the goddamn running back from running up the middle. We had no name running backs last week. Well, I ain't gonna call, these guys, we know Penny's a good running back, but he's always hurt. We know Kenneth, the backup running back, did some stuff in college, but the Saints allowed these guys to put up some yardage on them to hurt us last year from the defensive perspective, and the interior defense of stopping them from running, or running backs are running on us, was supposed to be a strength for the team. They got cut up pretty good in both cases. So the defense can't allow Mixon to get going or any of their running backs to kind of balance that playbook. They're going to have to lock down the rushing attack, and we're going to talk more about that on the preview stream when Solomon Wilcox steps in on the Sports Coma. So and we'll go over that. So congratulations to Taysom Hill once again for his Offensive Player of the Week award. Let's see if he can get another one against the Bengals as the Saints look to climb back to 500. One game at a time through the season is how we focus. That's how we do. That's what we need to do. All right, so with that being said, fam, that's going to be the end of the broadcast. I'd like to give you a shout out. Thank you for joining me. Please feel free to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Feel free to share the shows on your social media feed as well. So 2 rushes, first down. That's right, Trey, man. Shout out to you, baby. We got to do this, man. The Saints are in prime position to climb, and we know that the biggest problem the Saints have is that they was trying to throw the ball, and the offense is a big stagnant, the passing offense, but the rushing attack does work. Right now, the Saints are ranked 10th in the NFL in rushing, and that 10th kind of ranking was thrusted into the 10th by that 200 performance, that 200-yard performance you had. So let's keep that going. Let's keep channeling that same energy, and hopefully we can get the passing game going more consistently. But please, no more turnovers. No more turnovers. The Saints have turned the ball over every damn game. And these turnovers, and the Saints don't have turnovers where they turn over and then nothing becomes of the turnovers. Like it's an empty turnover. The empty turnovers, meaning that you turn the ball over and your opponent doesn't get a touchdown or a field goal out of it. The Saints, every one of their turnovers, their opponents take these turnovers and turn them into points, whether they're field goals or touchdowns. We cannot do this anymore. We have to be able to stop turning the damn ball over. Shout out to Coach Payton, who told Mark Ingram to handle the damn rock, to hold on to the rock, and he told Ingram to tell Kamara to hold on to the rock. Thank you very much. Payton's sitting up there saying he was throwing pillows at the television and doing mean mugging and all that, man. And Dennis Allen ain't mean mugging them people. But the thing is here, listen, my thing is, Mark Ingram, I love you. But Mark Ingram, if you ain't hitting them holes hard, bro, we got to move you on up out the way and put somebody in there that have the power to break them holes open. You got to be able to do a better job, because it's supposed to be like a thunder lightning type of thing. Elvin's the lightning, and Ingram's supposed to be the thunder. Ain't no thunder over there. That's not nothing shaking over there. No vibrations going on over there. It's lightning and nothing. So, I mean, he has to step up and handle the business. And the Saints don't have the confidence in Dwayne Washington as a running back to come in and to kind of spell Ingram when he's struggling. So hopefully bringing in Jordan Howard gets that going. So maybe he can be the thunder that the Saints need to go with the lightning. So we'll see how it all shakes. And hopefully they don't lose this guy to another team, and it just be a tryout of finding north-south runners and then letting them go, let other teams finding answers for their running back issues. Hopefully we'll have a little bit more sense this time around with this guy and put him on the active roster where we know he can run and get him acclimated to the system. So we'll see how it shakes and goes. And maybe we can put Ingram on the damn practice squad. It seems like he needs some practice. All right, so anyway, with that being said, fam, I'm going to pop out on there. Hit the like button, family. Hit the subscribe button. And keep it going, man. Yes, big ups to all y'all, man. Appreciate y'all in the building, man. I'm going to holler at y'all on the flip side. Remember, join us tomorrow, family. We'll have Solomon Wilcox chiming in here. He'll be popping up representing the Cincinnati Bengals. You know, Solomon played for the Cincinnati Bengals. He does a podcast on them, and he was gracious enough to come up on the Sports Coma and talk the Cincinnati side of things, and we're gonna talk some football tomorrow. So y'all hit that notification bell and don't miss that stream. We're gonna be talking on Thursday stream. So with that being said, fam, listen, I'm gonna pop out on that. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Y'all keep y'all heads up, and I'll see you tomorrow. Who that to you, and I'm out.
Yeah. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports Coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, 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 Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like Elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shame for the championship. Bucking on town, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy, then you probably smell the crooked referees or Roger Goodell. Yeah, fucking like this, and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, 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 Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
Store where you can go and buy all the latest merch to support the platform. Available at the Pro Shops, we have dozens of hundreds of products available for you and your family. Unisex tees for men and women, hoodies and sweatshirts, tank tops, kids and baby items, long sleeve tees, mugs, pillows, wall art, bath bedding, face masks, phone cases, stickers, bags, fanny packs, socks, hats, and many other items. Please feel free to check out the Pro Shops. The link is in the description section below. And remember, it helps the platform continue to grow. So check out the Pro Shop and Who That To.
WhoThatDaily.com. That's right, the WhoThatDaily.com. Your one-stop shop for everything New Orleans Saints, New Orleans Pelicans, LSU Tigers, even the top flight boxing news. So if you're a Who That and you're looking for a place to stay up on your team, WhoThatDaily.com is your site. The WhoThatDaily.com for the sport Who That in all of us.